ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports that players decided, guys, this morning they do want to resume the playoffs. Talks are now underway on when that will be. Today's 3 games have postponed, we know that. But the NBA said in a statement less than an hour ago that it was hopeful that games would resume either Friday or Saturday. Now, after a meeting between the players in the bubble this morning, there is another one set for today to discuss next steps between a group of players and the team governors representing the 13 teams in Orlando, along with representatives from the Players Association, the league office. Michael Jordan, who chairs the NBA's Labor Relations Committee, his team, not still in the bubble, but he will also be on the call, according to the league's statement. The discussion is expected to include plans of action on social justice issues. So, look, guys, this is a historic moment in time. You both have played in the league a very, very long time. And I assume, Richard, we'll start with you. You've never seen anything like this.
No, I don't think anyone's seen anything like this in any sports. And I as much as I want to, applaud the NBA players, I also want to applaud athletes from all sports because so many sports have taken notice. They have jumped on board. They've been a part of this movement because this is something that impacts you. It doesn't matter if you're a basketball player. This impacts every community across this country and a lot of communities across the world. So I was just, honestly, the part that I was, most impressed with is that, the baseball players. And then, I believe hockey's not playing games today or tomorrow. So I think that was the thing that really kind of made the message stand out.
And also, I think they realized, too, their message is so much stronger coming from that bubble. Like we said, obviously, LeBron will still be heard, Chris will be heard, but would Doc Rivers' plea have been heard? Would George Hill's plea have been heard? Together, obviously, in that bubble, their message is a lot stronger, and it travels the world. And then, like Rich says, I think more than anything yesterday, we showed how powerful we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to welcome in Adrian Wojnarowski from the NBA bubble at Walt Disney World Resort. Woj, how did we get from such an emotional meeting last night where there didn't seem to be total consensus leaving that meeting to what seemed like a fairly quick decision this morning? What can you share about the players' mindset?
Well, Rachel, and I think Matt just made that point that ultimately the players decided that, listen, they know they had a dramatic impact. They've had a dramatic impact by pausing, boycotting the games yesterday. The games obviously aren't going to be played today, but I think the question of if we walk away from the season, if we leave the bubble, can we continue to have that dramatic of an impact on the issues that they are focused on right now? And the answer to that ultimately as a group was no. And from last night's meeting here in the bubble, there were a lot of conversations among elite players in the league deep into the night. And then through today with owners and the league office and the Players Association before they even got into that 11 a.m. meeting here. And once they got there, Rachel, I was told that Chris Paul, Andre Iguodala, obviously Chris Paul, the head of the Players Association, and Andre is one of the vice presidents. They really took charge of that meeting and really kind of pushed through to players, guys. We're here to try to return to this season. We need to play. It's important. I think they believed, from last night to today that for the most part, they had consensus of their peers that they wanted to move forward. They got the vote through, and now the season resumes very likely on Saturday, I'm told.
That's interesting. And you're reporting overnight about players talking late into the night. LeBron James, some of the other key players, senior guys around the league, is so fascinating to me because, of course, that could only happen in this bubble situation. Them sitting at those, you and I know them well, those metal tables outside with the chairs and just sitting around face to face in a way. If these guys were all playing playoff games in separate cities, they would not be able to do. They also wouldn't be able to do what's happening later today, which is a meeting between some of the player designees and the team owners of the 13 teams still left in Orlando. Michael Jordan also going to be in attendance. What do you expect to happen during that meeting?
Well, I think that they're going to continue the conversation that they've been having all the way back through this entire pandemic and the hiatus and the conversations that the league and the players had about coming to Orlando, about having a bubble, and the issues that that players and coaches who have been on board with their players throughout, that they wanted to continue to shine a light on, to continue to keep in the forefront. and wanted to see commitments from ownership in the league about supporting those issues of social injustice. The league has done, I think, a great deal to do it. I think there's hope that they can do more. And you saw with the Bucks yesterday that they didn't just boycott the game and file out of the arena and go back to their rooms. They sat in that locker room for hours. They used their ownership group with Mark Lazary, his son Alex Lazary, to get them, the lieutenant governor, the attorney generals of Wisconsin, on the phone and start to formulate a plan about how they could achieve the goals for justice that they wanted to impact. And I think you're going to see that asked of more organizations, more teams in the league. You saw today the Houston Rockets are going to use their arena as a voting center in November for the election. You're seeing more and more teams do that around the country, especially at a time in cities where there are concerns about voter suppression and using those facilities, to be able to impact a fair election process.
Absolutely. Woj, thank you so much for keeping us updated. I know the story is going to continue to develop, so we will see you later on throughout the network, throughout the day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.